I think the defense will get better as the year improves. So, we've talked about Oregon a little bit, but now I want to go straight into it. I'll give you the win for last week for projecting that game score pretty much accurately, very close. But I mean, WC's looking to go 2-0. They've got the Oregon Ducks coming in, first home game in Pullman. It's going to be in front of cardboard fans, not real fans. But I mean, what do you see happening? What are we thinking? Oregon right now is a 10.5-point favorite. Well, I think it's supposed to be close, but what do you think?
I saw that 10.5-point favorite as well, which I don't mind them being a favorite. Oh, Oregon State was a favorite too. We saw how that worked out, but we're at home against an Oregon team that's struggled in Pullman. I mean, last time they came up here, college game day, one of the greatest days that I had as a Coug. So, being a 10.5-point favorite on the road to Pullman, I think is a little disrespectful. But I don't mind them being a favorite. But they're not. This isn't Alabama against some FCS team, right? Like, so I give Oregon credit. They're still definitely the top team in the pack. There's no debating that to me. Other than USC maybe knocking on their door, they lucked out with a win against ASU. I'm not gonna lie. They played the Falcons last Saturday, right? So I give credit to this Oregon team, especially the defense. The defense is just scary as a whole. I mean, their recruiting is just so top notch that I believe, and I do want to get this right here. Let's see. I believe they have 2 5-star freshman linebackers on the team that were ranked number 1 and number 2 in the nation. So they literally have 2 of the best. Yeah, they literally have 2 of the best linebacking recruits coming to Eugene, and it's like there's not much you compete with on the recruiting side. So the defense is scary. Don't get me wrong. Offense, though, I'm not sold on their quarterback. He showed his ability to run, to make himself an effective runner, but that was more than half of their points last week against a Stanford team that is just falling apart. Right?
Yeah.
They scored more than half of their points on the ground. They're not really forcing it through the air, which, with that point of attack compared to our defense last week, seems like a recipe for success. But again, it goes back to what I think their game plan was with Jamar Jefferson. When you lock down the run, then it's going to be up to that quarterback to make plays in the air. And hopefully we get Tyrese Ross back in the defensive backs. That'd be big, and we could finally see a true. Because although we didn't play great rush defense, I still think our pass defense was relatively okay, right?
Yeah, until it started to get kind of shredded at the end, but
right, yeah. But I don't see this as a blowout. If it was a blowout, then I know we don't have Mike Leach anymore. But if it was a blowout, then how have they not beaten us in the past however many matchups that we've had in Pullman? Like, this isn't that big of a landslide when I really look at everything, because I'm just not sold on that quarterback.
Yeah, and I mean, is this year's Oregon team better than last year's Oregon team? I don't think so. And that team, won the Rose Bowl, was really good, was borderline, college football playoff. And they beat WSU by 2 last year. They needed a last-second field goal to beat a 6-7 WSU team on the road. That was at home. Yeah, WSU was on the road in front of whatever, how many thousands of fans that stadium holds. So if you're telling me that a team that lost Justin Herbert, who's killing it in the NFL right now,
I'm rooting him on, man. He's so fun to watch.
I just traded for him in fantasy today, so wish me luck.
There you go.
And then you want to say, okay, look, I mean, the opt-outs, Penei Sewell, their best player, he's gone. They've lost guys. They've lost guys in the secondary. Anybody who was about to go to the NFL draft is not on that team right now. So if you're telling me that team that squeaked by against the WSU team last year is going to blow this team out by double digits, I'm just not buying it. Do I think WSU is going to win? Probably not. Not enough to be confident, not enough to put my hair on it. That's for damn sure.
Shout out to Morgan. We can't put our hair on the line for this.
We'll be tuning in for that. But I just don't see how you watch these games last week and you see Oregon, play close for a while against a Stanford team that I think is just going downhill fast, and a WSU team that in their first game with a new head coach and a new quarterback looked pretty good. So I just don't see this as a double digit blowout. And I think we're looking at a chance where, yeah, WSU has played this team really well. They've won 4 of the last 5. Last year was their first loss since like 2014. So, obviously I don't think odds makers know that much, but if you're asking me to set the line, I'm taking these things into account. I think they matter.
Yeah, I definitely, if we can wrap it back to Jaden Delora for a second here,
Hmm.
him being a true freshman quarterback going into this game, a great performance last week, no doubt about it. This is going to be a bit of a rude awakening for him.
Hmm.
And it's painful to say that, but I'm not buying on him having, a Tua Tagovailoa. I always struggle with that last name. I'm not expecting a Trevor Lawrence performance here. Like
Hmm.
I think he'll do as best as he can. Don't get me wrong, but if he does not do that well in the first half of this game, I wouldn't be surprised if they put Cameron in for a couple of snaps.
Yeah.
And I hope that doesn't tarnish Delores' confidence at all, because I think he impressed a lot of Coug fans this last weekend. But I wouldn't be surprised if we have two quarterbacks playing this game. It pains
Hmm.
me to say it, but Cameron comes in with this would be Cameron's first game too, so it's not like it's going to be we have this big savior, saving us against the Ducks, but Delores going to have a little bit more pressure here, right? This is
Hmm.
not at Oregon State. Oregon State has a great pass rush as well. Oregon has a defense,
Yeah.
a great defense,
Hmm.
and it's going to be a little hard for Delora, I think, to have the same success that he did. Am I saying that it's impossible? No. I hope he hunts some ducks just like the great Mike Leach did.
Hmm.
I I hope it all works out. But if I had to put a score prediction for this game,
Yep. Let me hear it.
I mean, granted, Oregon did not look terrific in the first quarter
Mm-mm.
against Stanford,
No.
and they didn't allow a single sack to Stanford. But I'm not thinking Stanford's got
Yeah.
the Bucks defense or anything, right? So,
Mhm.
judging off of that, if it's a 10.5 point different point
Mhm.
differential based on the bets, like I go 34-31 Oregon.
Okay. Oregon. Okay. I was hoping you weren't going to steal mine because I'm a little bit around there. And I do want to say Bucks defense, Ryan. That's a little outdated because I don't know if you watched Monday, but I hope so they are the Bucks defense. But and
One bad game. It's not like Wilson's not an MVP candidate
yeah,
after that game against Buffalo, right?
but
It's
yeah.
just one bad game.
What I do want to say is, this isn't the air raid, and I don't. Delora obviously pressures on him, but all the pressure isn't on him. I think Dion McIntosh, is going to go out and have a great game. I don't remember the exact stat. I barely looked at the. I briefly looked at the Oregon Stanford box score, but I think they ran for 100 yards against that team, so they're not a brick wall over there. So I think if they can rely on that run, if the offensive line, which WSU has a great offensive line, if they can create some holes for Dion McIntosh, he can do his thing on the ground. Delores able to make plays when he can. I think this team is going to be competitive. I think it comes down to the defensive side, and I think it comes down to CJ Verdell. And if they're able to stop him, I think 150 yards from him, and I think Oregon wins. I think if they're able to hold him close to 100, then I think it's a close game. But if you're asking me score prediction, I'm going 31-24 Oregon. A little bit. Uh, it's a wider margin than you had, but it's still one score. And I
Not
don't
double
think
digits though. That's all
no,
that
not double
matters.
digits. Yeah, exactly. I think it's going to be a little bit more low scoring because that Oregon State defense was not good. This Oregon defense is good. I don't see WSU getting 30, but but also I wouldn't be surprised if it's flipped and if WSU is able to squeak out a small victory. So if you're a betting person listening to this, I like WSU spread. But I'm not going to tell you where to put your money. But I don't think this is a double digit game. I think we can agree on that.
Yeah. Tune into